Hey everybody, Icy Cat here. Early this morning, Ubisoft announced that they would be removing the Villa-only playlist earlier than planned. Want to know why? Let's talk about it next. This announcement came out very early this morning, and they said that they are going to be removing the new Discovery playlist. This was a new feature they announced with the launch of this season, that it would be a playlist that only loaded the map Villa, no other maps, so you would essentially have a chance to really get familiar with this map and have some hands-on time with it, because they were getting a lot of feedback at the launch of a new season that did have a new map that players would sometimes play all night long, and they might only see the new map come up once, and then when they did play it, it was really unfamiliar to them because they were getting a lot less exposure to that map than they might otherwise have gotten. In response to that, the Discovery playlist was launched. It was planned to be available for a month and would allow players that chose this playlist option to just queue into that map only. Originally, it was planned to be around for a full 4 weeks. However, now they are going to be removing it on Thursday, June 21st. They cite the reason as being that they've seen a sharp decline in interest in players selecting the Villa-only option. They say they do realize this is earlier than they had previously announced, but they had noticed that there were a few trends that were negatively impacting matchmaking. The average wait time, the cancel rate, and average cancel time in this specific playlist have all doubled since its launch. This meant that players were waiting longer, canceling matchmaking more, and canceling after waiting longer. They cite the main reason for this is that players were returning to the casual or ranked matchmaking over the Discovery playlist as they got more and more familiar with using it. Now, they do feel like the Discovery playlist for Villa was a success, and it will be making a return in future seasons. But they're still going to be looking at ways to optimize how to keep it balanced for matchmaking versus queue times and things like that to allow those players to get some hands-on experience with the maps when they first come out. Now, in previous seasons, Ubisoft has experimented a lot with finding ways to get players engaged into those new maps. The Discovery playlist is the newest way that they've tried to do that. In previous seasons, they have gotten some criticisms for maps just not coming up very frequently. This is especially more noticeable the larger the map pool gets. They have dealt with this in different ways in previous seasons. In some seasons, they haven't really done much at all, and then they would get criticized for the map not really coming up, and then people wouldn't get familiar with it, which is why they implemented this in the first place. But in other seasons, they have done some things, like for the first 2 weeks or the first 3 weeks, they would increase the frequency with which the map would come up in the general matchmaking pool for the random map selection. There were other seasons where they claimed to have done this, and yet it seemed like it wasn't really happening. They did seem to hit sort of a sweet spot back in Operation Red Crow with the launch of the new Skyscraper map. It was coming up a lot more frequently in the random map selections, and that didn't last forever. It was just for a few weeks, and that increased exposure allowed players to get a little bit more familiar with that map initially before tapering back off to the general random map selection. Also, the new map since the introduction of the limited map selection pools in casual and ranked has always been available in both modes, regardless if it's a well-balanced map for ranked or not. The reasoning behind this was that if the new map was only available in casual, then people that would typically be playing ranked would not play ranked because they would want to see the new map. They would want to play on that, so they would then go into the casual-only matchmaking because they couldn't experience it in ranked. So they've definitely been trying a lot of different things to find that optimal mix for how to experience the new map and spread it across the player base, and yet try to keep it familiar enough in players' minds that they're not completely lost on it when the map does come up. And other times they really haven't done much at all, and then it feels like it's completely foreign when the map does come up because they've seen so little of it. In my personal opinion, I feel like a compromise between a few of these variable things is the way to go. I can really understand the argument for keeping the new map in both ranked and casual. You definitely want to make sure the players are experiencing that map regardless of which playlist they are in. That may be something we want to consider only restricting to the current season though. Having Theme Park and Tower come up beyond their seasons may not necessarily be the right thing to do. In the current season that the new map is launched, that's probably fine, but after that season has expired, maybe move it out of the map selection pool for ranked unless it's a valid Pro League map. Then looking at just how to kind of mix it into the general population for exposure to that map, because you don't want to spend a whole night playing when a new map comes out and maybe see it once or twice, if at all. I think splitting the difference from what they've done in the past to what they're doing now is probably a good way to do it. Rather than keeping a Discovery playlist up for a full 4 weeks, maybe doing it for the initial 2 weeks to give that 24/7 exposure to that new map for those that want it is a good idea. But then I would say also increasing the frequency of that new map, at least for the first few weeks of a new season, is probably the way to go, kind of how they have done that in previous seasons. So a little bit of an old approach, a little bit of the new way of doing it, kind of combining the two together. If you want to play nothing but the new map, go into the exclusive Discovery playlist for a few weeks. If you still want to have just general map selection, go ahead and play it. But for those first few weeks, you're going to see it come up maybe twice as often. You're going to have that increased chance to play that map. You're going to be able to get a little bit more familiar with it as it comes up more and more frequently, so that when the map does come up, you're not feeling like, oh, I don't know where the rooms are. I don't know where the objectives are. This map has hardly come up for me at all. So I think going forward, maybe doing a little bit of both is probably the best way to go. So once again, the Discovery playlist for Villa is being removed early. It is getting yanked this Thursday, the 21st. So if you still want to do games on that playlist, you have until then to do so. So what do you guys think about the way map selection should be handled for new seasons and the release of new maps? Let me know down in the comments below, or share with me over at IcyCat25 on either Facebook or Twitter. And if you haven't already, please do like and subscribe, and make sure you click that notification icon so you're alerted as soon as I make new content available. Thanks a lot for watching, everybody. We'll see you next time.